Hi everyone, welcome to your spiritual awakening and personal power journey. We are on day 5, where we are turning pain into power. It's not a concept I've heard that much on YouTube or the podcast that I listen to actually, so I wanted to go into that a little bit deeper. So I'm just going to find the card that goes along with it. It's the Ten of Swords. And if you know anything about tarot, then the Ten of Swords is a card that denotes a very painful experience. So this is the tarot card, the Ten of Swords. Looks pretty bleak, doesn't it? And that's kind of what the flavor of the Ten of Swords is. So this can represent, if it's the tarot and it's 3 swords, it represents heartbreak. Ten of Swords is just when you're at rock bottom, endings, painful truth that we sometimes avoid. It can look bleak at first, but it's also a promise. The worst is over, the new dawn is rising. And this card speaks to the transformative power of pain. From this point, rebirth begins. So, pain is part of the human experience, but staying stuck in it isn't your destiny. Today, we're exploring how to shift pain into power, and whether it was betrayal, loss, grief, or trauma, your story holds wisdom. The Ten of Swords reminds us that we must acknowledge that what hurt us before can heal. Pretending we're fine doesn't make us strong. It keeps us stuck. So today, gently revisit a time when you felt broken, then notice what grew from it, what strength emerged, what boundary was built, what self-trust began. You are not your wounds. You are healing the art of insight that grew from them. Let's shift from asking, what did this happen to me, to what did it teach me? So before I go into the next segment on looking at this, um, it really is. When you pull this card, if you resonate with any of the tarot readings that you get, you can really feel that sense of rock bottom where everything just feel you're deflated, you're tired, exhausted. And it's similar to the Ten of Wands, and the Ten of Wands is like carrying really heavy burdens, and it can be carrying other people's burdens. But the concept of turning pain into power is how, for example, you grow, you learn about your experiences and then you share those, and that insight that can help other people. And some people turn their pain into songs. If we have a look at like Mary J. Blige and her, I think it was her first album, and No More Drama. And every song on there was about the heartbreak and pain that she'd experienced. Of course, music is really representative of that. Um, again, Teddy Swims, one of his recent tracks, really cuts at the heart of you. Really feel that deeply sometimes, especially when the singer has clearly gone through their own struggles. So, what you can do on a very practical level that helps you with your focus is you can draw a timeline, and I'll show you what I mean. So this is now, and that's +10. We can put, so this is a very rudimentary introduction to the idea of timelines. Okay, so what you do is you get a piece of paper and you just draw a line here. Okay, it keeps coming out of focus. On here I've got 0, and on here I've written now. We've got +10 and we've got -10. So if I went back to experiences that I had, so if now is 2025, and I could go back to experiences that I had, say in 2022, let's say 2019. And so you can put any random ones that come into your mind, and I'll put -10 means it was really difficult, it was a really painful experience, and +10 was a great experience. So you can use a timeline in lots of different ways, but today we're looking at turning pain into something. So I'm putting -10 for 2019 because that's when I had a car accident, and It was horrible. And if I put on there PTSD, nightmares, pain, fatigue, holistic practices. So I've just put that as one thing on that timeline is 2019 is here, and I've put on there, will we see it more? No, because it's also the other way around. So I put that in 2019, and I've put a couple of events that happened after that were difficult. And so what you do is you put that on there and you have a look at that event. And I've put the car accident because that was a seriously difficult time for me. And so if I have a look at what the pain was, it was physical pain, spiritual pain, psychological pain, because I had straight away after the accident, I had PTSD, I had nightmares. I was waking up with that feeling where you go, and you just think that's it. It's like you're dying in the night. And you get up and you write your will or you contact your solicitor or you make sure that you've got things in order. And I think that's common for people who've had serious accidents. And then the aftermath is what comes, the first few weeks, first few months. So the first few weeks are, you just can't go into work. I couldn't get off the sofa. I was in a lot of agony. Then it's dealing with solicitors. But further down the line, what happened is I then did my yoga teacher training and I started working with women who had had burnout, chronic fatigue, and was in a lot of pain. And I couldn't teach the full spectrum of yoga. So I was teaching yoga from somebody who was starting to heal from that somatic injury as well as trauma and working deeper on the fascia, the vagus nerve, and then using holistic practices. And the holistic practices I used to turn that pain into something where I become more empowered again was yoga, mindfulness, meditation, aromatherapy, Epsom salts, frequency sound healing music, crystal bowls. Initially, I didn't get the massage. It was much later because when your whole body's on fire, I didn't drive for a while, but the whole experience was like life has stopped. And I seriously thought, and I've said it on other videos, that that was it. I've gone through some challenges in life, but this was the worst physical challenge I'd ever gone through. So our minds have to heal, our physical have to heal. And the other thing is sometimes you can have an accident or something happen now and it dredges up earlier memories. And so other traumatic events also came into my awareness for healing. So the practical tools I used, like the ones I've just shared with you, but I also went to see a therapist that was part of our offer at the university I worked with. And my boss was actually good at the time. She'd worked in brain injury units, so she knew about post-traumatic stress and post-concussion syndrome, which I also had, which massively affected my eyes, made me dizzy, and created some perception issues, which is how you feel your body in time and space. And so the healing process was also about talking about the accident, but also I didn't find that particularly useful. Sometimes it's almost like you can feel like you're re-traumatizing yourself, especially when it's really painful to talk about. But then the therapist that I worked with was using some techniques, some guided visualization and spiritual hypnotic techniques that actually took, if I said my nightmares were like 100 in severity, they went down to like 30% after about 2 sessions with him. So I know that's why I know a lot of the things that I share here are things that I've used that have really helped me in lots of different ways over the years, tools that I've used. So that's what the Ten of Swords represents, just a really difficult time. So the book that goes along with this, it's really good to read, is The Body Keeps Score by Bessel van der Kolk. And Bessel van der Kolk is one of the top researchers in this area of work. And the song is Scars to You're Beautiful by Alicia Cara. And the research shows, trauma research shows that meaning making after painful events also known as post-traumatic growth, leads to greater resilience, creativity, and purpose. And practices like expressive writing, movement therapy, and storytelling help integrate painful experiences into a narrative. I have to admit, a lot of the practices that I've done over the years have helped me through those situations, but it took a while, um, because as humans, we do try and make meaning from our experiences. But for a while, I couldn't make any sense or meaning from it. In fact, I felt quite angry. I felt angry. I felt cheated because I'd been through many different things over my life. And all of a sudden, I felt like life was starting to turn around. I was starting to pursue some of the creative activities that I was doing. I just felt angry and I thought that was it. It's very difficult to get a job when you're on a year by year contract and you're having significant amounts of time off sick. And even when I went back to work, everything was difficult, getting on the train, carrying bags, things like that. So it stays with you. And I guess in a way as well, I do have a lot of compassion for people who are in a lot of pain because mine was like 10 out of 10 some days. It would oscillate. And I've worked with a few women since who still really struggle with pain. And so it's about being able to teach other people through my experience about pause, surrender, sleep, allowing yourself to go through the grief process and also getting the right appointments and understanding that everybody recovers and heals differently. But those different holistic practices can make a difference to you healing quicker. So, the journal prompts today is, what pain am I still holding on to that wants to be witnessed? What part of me become stronger because of that experience? And if you're like me and you're reading this at a time where you want to say, I didn't get any stronger, it didn't help at all. I get that. I totally get that. So you have to just work out where you are right now. And then how can you, if you are able to, alchemize that pain into purpose? The other aspects of pain is relationships. You know, what do you learn from the first relationship you had about yourself and about other people? And then what did you learn in the next one? And every relationship can bring different joy and different challenges. So, also write down maybe the things that you've already done that do support you on your well-being journey, because I don't want you to stay in the idea of pain too long. If something comes up, write about it, but don't sit in that feeling for too long or sit for as long as you can. You are allowed to put the brakes on and then you're allowed to switch states and go and watch some comedy and go and listen to some music, because we've got to be able to learn to move in and out of these experiences so that we don't get stuck in them. So hopefully that has been helpful today, and I look forward to seeing you more again on the video or on the lives. Do drop me a note. Make sure you like and subscribe and just let me know how you're getting on.